All right, so we're not going to waste any time. I wanted to go and do a deep dive on when does a player actually become a superstar and when should we give up on a player's development on their track to become a superstar. Now, me personally, I have a rule of thumb that by year 3, a player is going to show you the beginning of their potential prime, and by year 5, that player is probably 90% of whatever player they're going to become. Now, I also want to preface that this analysis is based on lottery picks, high-level draft picks. I'm not going to compare, guys that don't last 2 or 3 years in the league. That's not even fair. That shouldn't be part of that subset or the whole study or analysis. The average career length is about 4.5, 5 years just for any NBA player, but for a lottery pick, the average is like 7 to 10 years. So, I mean, guys that are drafted 1, obviously they're going to have an average career length of longer than that because they should be better. You're number 1, you should be the best player of your draft most of the time, not always. And then from picks 1 through 10, it kind of goes down the further down you go in terms of career length. But picks 1 through 10, the average length is 7 to 10. Guys like Jokic, Draymond Green, any second round or late first round picks, I'm not going to put them in this video because those guys are more anomalies. I'm going to use guys that, basically people know, they've seen, but this is something you can really put to any player. You can look at, their 3 to 5 year track. If they've been in the league 7 to 10 years or so, look at them by year 3 or 5 and you'll kind of see what I'm talking about here. I mean, for a fan base or a support of a team, this is good because in your mind, you're probably like, you watch the games. Unlike the national media that kind of just watches the big games, you guys watch all the small games, which every one of us can't do because there's no way you can keep up with all of them. But this will give you a good idea on when you should be throwing in the towel on a guy, expecting a guy to get better versus when it's, time to say, hey, give him a little bit more time. It's only year 2. Give him year 3. Let's see what he does. As long as there's, continual progress toward the goal. We're going to use this analysis using Hall of Fame level players at each position, all drafted after 2000, but we'll kind of see that the trend is very similar and you can use it for anybody. We'll use 2 players from each position. I'm not going to use any number 1 picks because that guy, really should be a great player. That's really easy to assume it'll be good, but guys, from 2 through 15, it's a much bigger gamble on whether they'll pan out or be good. Number 1's not always guaranteed, but it has a much higher success rate than the other spots. Point guard, we'll go for non-MVPs. There's only going to be 1 MVP I'll use in this thing, but it's because he came off the bench to start his career. Non-MVPs for everybody else. Point guard, Chris Paul, drafted 05. He won Rookie of the Year. By year 3, he was an All-Star and number 2 in MVP voting. Now, he peaked very early, and he had a long peak as well. But I mean, he was really good in LA. He led the Clippers to the playoffs. That team was absolutely garbage. They never even sniffed the playoffs before him, or they weren't doing it consistently. They were terrible. And for the Suns, he helped lead them to the finals, which was extremely rare for them. I think the last time they went to the finals before that was Barkley. Yeah, like it was 93, that era, that time period with Marley and, Kevin Johnson, those guys. Now, he was also an MVP, All-Star game. When he went to the Thunder later on in his career, he helped those guys develop, and we've seen what they've become since he's been on that team / left that team. He's been really useful for everywhere he's gone. His year 3 self, though, was pretty indicative of what he would become. And when he's Damian Lillard next, he's going to be the second point guard we'll look at. He won Rookie of the Year unanimously. By year 3, he was a 2-time All-Star, led the Blazers to their first playoff series in over 10 years. Everybody knows that game winner he had against Houston to end the series. Legendary shot. The Blazers, they made the Western Conference Finals in 2019. He's never been to the finals, but he's won 3-point shootouts. He's had ridiculous scoring numbers as a point guard, and basically he's been a top guard in the league since he entered. So, I mean, his year 3 version was pretty close to what he became. He ended up becoming a 9-time All-Star, multiple-time 3-point champ. He participated in the slam dunk contest, too, so he's pretty athletic in that way, and he's one of the clutchest players of the last 20 years. So we got to give Dame his credit. I mean, for the point guard spot, we just saw 2 examples. You can look at really any other career. I'm using high-level performers because you can see they started at around that time period. Now, we're not going to look at guys who never became anything because, by year 1 to 3, you should have seen what you needed to see, give up. But for shooting guards, we'll go on to that. We'll be a little quicker. We'll look at guys, all these guys are drafted after the year 2000. I'm looking at modern NBA history. We're not going to compare it to guys from the 60s, 50s. It's not fair to compare those guys. For shooting guards, we'll look at Dwayne Wade. This is easy. I mean, his year 3 was probably the best year 3 out of all these guys. Finals MVP. He averaged like 35 a game in the finals. I mean, obviously an all-star. Got to the Eastern Conference Finals the year prior. They lost to the Pistons in 05, but 06 and year 3, I mean, he was phenomenal. James Harden. James Harden's the only MVP you're going to see on this list. I included him for a reason. He's interesting because the rule applies to him as well. By year 3, he actually won Sixth Man of the Year. He helped OKC get to the finals. And the next year, he was given the keys to Houston. And the rest is really history. I mean, every year he was in Houston, he was an all-star. And then he ended up becoming an MVP. So I know I said no MVPs on this list, but he's the exception because he came off the bench in the beginning of his career. And he still became an all-star. And it was very clear that the talent was present from year 3. If you watched him during that OKC year, I was watching him. I was like a kid back then, like, yeah, middle school. I was like, this dude's a beast, man. This dude's cooking everybody. I thought he should have been starting instead of Westbrook running the offense. But that was my middle school brain. I think that was still accurate to this day. He probably should have been. But they chose Serge Ibaka over him. We'll look at that decision another time. He was a walking bucket coming off the bench. He could create for others. That's basically been the story of James Harden. Now, Kawhi Leonard, we'll look at small forwards. Kawhi, he's drafted in 2011. By year 3, he was a finals MVP. And by year 5, he rounded out his offensive game, and he finished second in MVP voting. And he actually won Defensive Player of the Year that year. So I think Kawhi did all right with his career since then, outside of his injury-riddled run with the Clippers. I mean, his time with the Spurs was very impressive. His time with Toronto was legendary. It was a one-year run. He's back now. But it was a one-year run. Well, we'll see. They're doing an investigation. That's a whole nother story. His one-year run with Toronto was legendary. And, I mean, the man is a certified Hall of Famer, guaranteed. We'll look at Carmelo Anthony next for the small forward position. He was drafted in 03. By year 3, he was All-NBA third team. He averaged 26 points per game that year. And then by year 5, he was a multiple-time All-Star who hadn't had much playoff success. I mean, it's a pretty accurate representation of his career. For the power forward spot, Chris Bosh. Chris Bosh drafted 03. By year 3, he was an all-star. By year 5, he had led the Raptors to the playoffs for the first time in 5 years. Bosh, by that time, he was Toronto, or by the time he left, not by that time, year 3. He left later on, for obvious reasons, to go to the Heat, 2010-2011 season, that free agency summer. By the time he left, he was the Toronto leader in points, rebounds, blocks, and minutes played. So he was a pretty good player, and later on, he went on to become a key contributor on the Heat team that won back-to-back and went to the finals 4 years in a row. That year 3 to 5 period was pretty indicative that he could be a key contributor to success with his time on the Raptors. The Raptors didn't have too much talent at that time. That was like the Andrea Bargnani time period. The Raptors, they went through a lot, but he did get them to the playoffs after a 5-year drought. Amari Stoudemire is the second power forward we'll look at. He was drafted in 02. By year 3, he was an all-star. And by year 5, he was a 2-time all-star and likely would have been 3-time, but there was a season where he only played like 3 games. I think it was his year 4. He only played like 3 games that season. But Amari Stoudemire had a very good face-up game. He was a great pick-and-roll player. He wasn't a great, defensive power forward. He was pretty much a liability on that side of the floor. But that's basically what he became, a very good player who was injury-prone down the line. That's the story of Amari Stoudemire, that stat. But by year 3 to 5, we saw what he was probably going to be. Now, for the center position, we'll use 2 guys. Andre Drummond, drafted 2012. By year 3, I mean, we knew he was a boards machine, and he was shooting less than 40% from the free throw line that year. By year 5, his game hadn't really grown much. He was a 1-time All-Star. Andre Drummond was, in my opinion, a letdown. Based on his potential in his first 3 to 5 years, it reflected that. From year 3 to 5, he didn't really grow much. By year 3, he was a boards machine, couldn't hit free throws. Year 5 is basically the same guy. He was a 1-time All-Star during that time period. Actually, I think it was a 1-time All-Star period. Yeah, Andre Drummond really didn't round out the way he should have. And years 3 to 5 reflected that. Now, Rudy Gobert, he was drafted a year later, 2013. By year 3, he was a Defensive Player of the Year candidate. And by year 5, he had won it. So, I mean, we've basically seen the story of Rudy Gobert. That year 3 to 5 period, that's basically been his career. He won 4 Defensive Player of the Years. He never quite rounded out his offensive game, but, I mean, he never really was forced to. but we can see by year 3, we could see the beginning of the peak. And by year 5, we saw what he would become, a defensive player of the year. Now, I would challenge you to use this rule of thumb on basically any player, good or bad, and you'll see it's not always. There's obviously exceptions to the rule. I should have said that in the beginning of the video. Obviously exceptions to the rule, but with high consistency, you're going to see that the player should either hit their stride or expose their lack of development by that window. I say that, I mean, guys like Zion, Ja, they've shown how good they can be, but their off the court trouble made it clear by that point, by years 3 to 5, which both their careers have shown up in that window, that these guys are going to have issues. I mean, if I was the GM, I would use a scale for, look at a guy like Jason Tatum. I mean, okay, he's this good by year 3. I'm going to hopefully assume that by year 5, we should be in championship contention, which that's what it was. He was drafted in 2017, and by year 5, they were in legit championship contention. 2022, they went to the finals. Now, did he stink it up that year in the finals? Yes, but before that, he was playing phenomenal. I mean, got those guys to the finals. A guy like DeAndre Ayton, by year 5, if I don't see what I really want to see or need to see, I'm gonna probably say with a high degree of certainty that this pick was a flop. We have enough tape, experience, and research on a guy. We got to move on. I mean, I say it like this: if your career is gonna be 10 to 15 years long, those guys who get picked lottery, that's what we assume they're gonna be. Then by year 3, you should be hitting the beginning of a 7 to 9 year run of high level play before you dip and return back to earth with your old man game, your mid 30s, really ages 24 to 32. I should be getting the best version of you. If I'm speaking as a GM, I should be getting the best version of you. So when you're not seeing the next step be taken, you got to move on. There's way too much talent out there, ready out of the box or getting better out of the box, to be coming out of school, to be worried about these guys who don't want to get their act together. The Cooper Flaggs of the world, Dylan Harpers of the world. These guys are just too good to keep waiting for a top guy to get his act together with NBA level coaching, strength and conditioning, nutrition, and healthcare. I mean, by the way, this is just what from you and I, people who watch basketball are seeing. I'm not the one who's paying these guys millions of dollars. If you don't believe that a billionaire is paying for private investigators to go and hunt and watch these guys and see what they're doing in their off time, you're crazy. These guys have way more data and information than we do. For their strength and conditioning and rehab processes, they use things like force plates. They can see exactly how much a guy is loading with his feet. They wear all sorts of wearable technology to where they can track speed. How much they're moving in practice. They can track speed during game, how much is a guy running, what's his pace, what's his velocity, what's his stopping ability. I mean, literally, when I tell you they have so much more data than us and they still get stuff wrong. Is it hard to get everything right? Yes, there's certain things you can't predict. But, I mean, let's be for real. By a certain time period, when it's time to move on from a guy. So this is just a nice rule of thumb that I really think that hopefully these guys start using to kind of whip some of these guys into shape. Because really, if you give up on a guy by year 3, 3 to 5, maybe that will spur him to whip his butt into shape and save the rest of his career. Look at a Chauncey Billups, how the way he sparked his career and got it back when he went to Detroit. Now, contrast that to a guy like Ben Simmons. Ben Simmons, by year 3, he was drafted 2016. By 2019, we saw the beginning of his peak. And then by 2021, 2022-ish, we started seeing, what the issues were. And I mean, literally, that's what the story of his career has been. Year 3, he got figured out. I remember Jared Dudley, he had the famous quote, he's basically a face-up player, a fast break player. He's not good in half-court sets, which he isn't. And they started forcing the Sixers to play a lot of half-court sets. They were doubling off of him, leaving him to shoot. It was terrible, man. Ben Simmons could have been a lot greater. But a guy like that, the Sixers should have given up on him by year 4 or 5. If they hadn't seen the step taken for the shooting, the progress is really what we're looking for. If we hadn't seen that, you got to go. You're done. We don't want to see no summer workouts. None of that. That's for the fans. The team needs to see the progress in the gym. They need to be seeing it. Your shooting splits need to be getting better. Your percentage. No. So that's just my thing. I mean, these guys, obviously, I'm talking about at the NBA level. If any one of these guys played at the rec league or whatever, they'd bust them. Ben Simmons could go down right now, not touch the basketball in months. and go bust somebody up for like 50, easy. But that's just a way to just kind of keep track of where these guys are in relation to each other. A good example, this is the last thing I'll say, a good example, I remember I watched a video. This man, Anthony Davis, said that I remember when he was injured, he said that he hadn't picked up a ball in months. Now, if I'm a GM, I hear that. That's a problem. That's a problem. Anthony Davis, what he was supposed to be, everything Giannis is, Anthony Davis was supposed to be even better than that. Anthony Davis has way more actual skill than Giannis Antetokounmpo. But Giannis, I will pick Giannis as my player any day over the week over Anthony Davis because I know Giannis is going to give me 100% effort. Giannis will try and improve his game. He will try and get better. He's a dog. Anthony Davis, respectfully, is not a dog. Anthony Davis is an A+ level talent, but the heart, I don't know about that. And his strength conditioning and taking care of his body and seriousness about the game, I don't know about that. There's a reason Charles Barkley calls that man street clothes. And by year 3 to 5, we saw that with AD too. So I mean, literally, you can use it with almost everybody. But we'll go into some more things in another video. I'm glad to be back. We got some more stuff coming soon. More interesting videos, more historical videos. I want to look at some of the old players, the greats, and obviously we're going to do some rookie analysis on where these rookies are based on how they got drafted. Who do I think is going to pan out? Who do I think is not going to pan out? And the preseason predictions in like a month or so. But we're going to put more videos out in the next few weeks. All right, I've been yapping long enough. You guys take care. Be easy. God bless. Don't be mad at me. Be mad at yourself. All right, peace.